They're just talking about some invented Russian threat, building some UAV walls, holding unnecessary summits, have Napoleonic ambitions, strange ambitions, and advocates the neo-Nazi Kiev regime. And it becomes more and more complicated for them to whip up this anti-Russian hysteria. That's what President Putin mentioned in Valdai. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is Ria Novosti with us? Yes, hello, Madam Zakharova, Christine Rodriguez, Ria Novosti. I would like to ask you to comment on a popular interview of former Chancellor of Germany, Madam Merkel, to the Hungarian media outlet Partisan, where she mentioned that in 2021 several Eastern European countries refused to support her initiatives for creation of a format for dialogue with Russia. What's your opinion on that? I have a question also. Why has it been for so long? As Pushkin mentioned that, at first I wanted to keep silent, but it was back in 2021. 4 years have passed. Why did not she make public this information back then? Maybe it would have turned out differently. Everyone would have understood who is the party of war. But to add Merkel's revelations that she regarded the Minsk agreements as an instrument and not a document she had signed, and the document to be implemented, but an instrument with some political manipulations. And she was not ready to implement all that. That's who is responsible for what happened in Ukraine. But the artillery shootings, militarization of the Kiev regime that just acted against its own population in Donetsk and Lugansk in January 2022. Now you have the full picture here. She mentioned in that interview that in the middle of 2022, being aware of the necessity of political dialogue with Russia, she put forward the initiative to create a new format for the EU leaders to have a possibility to directly speak to the top leadership of our country. As she said, there was such a necessity of a new negotiations format with Russia. But I do not know why they have this idea that Russia does not treat the Minsk agreements seriously. Russia has always highlighted the relevance of those agreements. It was Russia that proposed to enshrine those agreements in within the UN Security Council. And the German Chancellor Merkel said that this initiative of such a diplomatic breach was not supported by some NATO countries, namely Poland leadership, the leadership of the Baltic states. But how many times Russia? It was Russia. Today we will publish. Tomorrow we will do our best to publish quotations from Sergei Lavrov interviews, who noted that within the European Council there are such secret agents who are trying to disrupt, such moles supporting the policy alien to the European Union and act against the interests of the European Union. It's disruptive strategy, disruptive policy that has been like that, and Sergei Lavrov highlighted that many times. This destructive role of European mechanisms, new members of the European Union, namely Poland and Baltic states. In 2021, they just covered themselves with fears that the European Union will not be able to implement a consolidated policy with regard to Russia. But actually, that was the implementation of their own anti-Russian strategies. It was when the tail was controlling the dog. Those elites imposed on the EU majority, small elites, so to say, imposed on the EU majority their positions. Those people were ready to sacrifice European security in favor of their own sick phobias and, of course, for money. And there are also other officials who made statements in the interviews. Former Polish Foreign Ministry Sikorski, he accused Merkel of lies, and he qualified Merkel as one of the most harmful German politicians. But I would like to ask him for which period, the entire history of Germany? Then she can sue him, because there are some political figures with whom she can be compared. This range of German politicians has some worse figures, the worst figures. Actually, to some politicians, no one pays attention any longer. It is all archived. But Merkel, together with Hollande, French president, she regarded those agreements as a means of saving the Kiev regime from a catastrophe in 2015. Back then they were saving the Kiev regime. Now they are destroying the Ukrainian people.